Well, good morning. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to everyone who is here in joining us in the sanctuary, as well as to our online community. Wherever you are hailing from, just allow me to say, welcome home. And here in Eureka CSL, we like to start our service in two very important ways. And first is to acknowledge the native lands that we are on. The Eureka Center for Spiritual Living acknowledges that the lands on which we gather are the ancestral territory of the Wiyot peoples. This territory extends to the communities throughout most of Humboldt County, and we honor the Wiyot people today. Next, and Marvin, if you'll help me with the slide, we want to say our opening affirmation. This is our welcoming affirmation. We will say the first part of that together and then turn to someone near you to honor the path that brought them here this morning. And so we begin. We are a welcoming community where the vibration of love lifts us, the wisdom of the ages inspires us, and the science of mind teaching empowers us. I honor the path that brought you here today. I honor the path that brought you here today. I honor the path that brought you here today. All right. I'm bringing it back in. Next up, we'll have our weekly schedule. You can find all of the details and registration links both on our website, and also keep an eye out for your social media, both on Facebook and Insta, because I know there is a lot of information going out there as well. Some highlights for this week. We want to talk about the class that just started, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. This is taught by practitioner Scott Q. Marcus. It's on Tuesdays throughout October, so it started on the 3rd and will continue every Tuesday from 10 to noon through Halloween, through the 31st. So it's not too late to join that class. If you'd like, go ahead and get a hold of either Reverend Angelica or Scott himself. Next up, we want to remind you that Redwood Pride uses our facilities to host their pancake breakfast. This is a great event, yes. It is October 14th, and it's here from 10 to 1. So if you're somebody who likes to sleep in on the 14th, you can still sleep in and catch brunch. It's for a $20 recommended offering, but nobody will be turned away. Please pay what you can. Next up is Crafternoon. If you don't work on Fridays and you want to get together and create with a group of people, bring whatever craft you are working on. This is going to be on October 20th from 1 to 4 p.m. and just a time to get together and really just be in that creative space together. We also have a really unique event going on. We're calling it the Intention Fest. This is hosted by Edward and Amy Wobbles. It's going to be on Saturday, October 21st from 5 to 9 p.m. They said go ahead and bring some appetizers. They're going to serve dinner. It's a time for games and music and just in general celebrating wellness and peace together. So be sure not to miss that. Also coming up, and this one's always a little odd for me, I'm speaking on the 20th. Wait, there's a picture. There we go. I'm going to be speaking on the 29th, on the 5th Sunday, and my talk title is Cultivating Your Inner Spiritual Rebel. So that pairs very well with what our meditation was this morning. Yeah, so be sure and don't miss that. Also, we know that Marvin is going to be on vacation on November 12th. If you're someone who would like to learn more about the video for our Sunday celebration and you would be interested in assisting him on the 12th, and I think there's a few people who have already said they'd be interested, please go ahead and see him. He'll be right over here where you see the screen set up as a little demo and something that we can kind of work with to actually get our hands in that pie and see how things go. So please see him after service. Also, our bookstore this month, all books from Ernest Holmes are 20% off. And if you've only read the Science of Mind textbook, this is a really great invitation because that's probably the hardest book by Ernest Holmes to read. So please stop by the bookstore and see. I think you'll be thrilled at some of the other titles and books by Ernest Holmes. As always, our little pantry is available. We thank everyone who continues to feed the little pantry, looking for shelf-stable juices and milks as well as baby food. Our theme this month, as it continues, is spiritual rebels. And I just love this idea. And then we're going to go ahead and go into our contemplative time, starting with our chant. And Donna, would you come up and lead us in that?
I agree. I believe the lyrics are up here. Oh, Great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me. Oh, Great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me. Oh, Great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me. Oh.
Our reading today is the call to unite. In this world that we create together, nobody has to fit in because everyone already belongs. Unity is not the opposite of diversity. Unity requires diversity. Unity is the truth of sacred scripture. It is the truth of oral indigenous peoples. It is the truth written in our hearts that we can test in our own lives. When we feel separate, we suffer. That is why we find happiness in belonging. We are one. No one can be left out. We were made to be together. Please take this into the sacred silence.
I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, need to be still and let God love me.
And so I speak a word of blessing for this service today, for every person in the sound of my voice, whether they are here in person or joining us as part of our online community. For what I know is true is that the only substance that is in earth is love. It is this love that I call God. I call it good. For I know it is the very truth of each and every one of us. That in this space of love, that we simply show up authentically as who we are, allowing that love to pour through us and ripple out into this beautiful world. That as we stand together in the two or more in this beautiful community, that we are up-leveling the vibration of love in this world and sharing that gift with ourselves, with our community, with our city, and with the entire globe. That we wrap the planet in this essence, in the substance of love. And so I just know that each and every one of us is blessed. And I speak a word of blessing on our guest speaker today, Carol, knowing that that love pours through her so that each and every person hears exactly what they need to hear to continue to evolve and transform in their own spiritual path. I simply call this good and so very good. And so we just cast this forth into the law, letting it go and letting it be, knowing that sweet spirit always says, yes, my beloveds, yes, yes, yes. And we affirm this together by saying together, and so it is.
I need to release all my sorrow. I need to release all my sorrow. Then I'll find peace in a brighter tomorrow. If I just release all my sorrow. I need to be still. I want to let go. I'm gonna let go. And let God love me.
Now I would like to invite Donna up to officially introduce our guest speaker for today.
Yay! Yeah, yes, this is a real special day. For me, especially. Did anyone catch on our Facebook page the 5-page bio of our guest speaker today? Good, I'll refresh you then. Our guest speaker today is of Paiute Pit River Little Shell tribe of Chippewa descent and a tribal member of the Susanville Indian Rancheria, a federally recognized tribe of California. By the way, tomorrow is Indigenous Peoples Day, formerly known as Columbus Day. Thank you very much. So, welcome all. Carol and her two brothers were raised by her Muha grandmother, where she learned the ways of her ancestors, especially traditional stories, to respect all tribes' teachings and to live in integrity. Carol worked at United Indian Health Services, UIHS, we'll call it because it's a big word, beginning in 1976 after attending Humboldt State University, now known as Cal Poly Humboldt. Lovely how things change over the years, what we call things, eh? She returned to HSU in 1989 and earned a teaching credential. She taught for 9 years and then returned to UIHS in 1998 to serve the Indian community, including serving on the UIHS Board of Directors in 2021. After dedicating her life's career to working with the Indian community for 31 years at UIHS, she's now retired. Congratulations. She and her husband, Eric, have been married for almost 49 years. You seem so much younger than that. They have 2 children, Ricky and Derek, and 3 grandchildren, Bella, Talon, and Aaliyah. Carol describes raising 2 children to be responsible adults that give back to the Indian community as her most important accomplishment. You can tell, she's been a dear friend for a long, long time, so I can ad-lib over her. Throughout many years, she's been active in the Native American community with many sports-related endeavors, healthy community programs, and the making of healing health products using traditional plants in a modern way. She's a founding member of the North Coast Storytellers, California American Indian Storytelling Association, and the National American Indian Story. I said that. She's collaborated with state and other agencies in the placement of signage using indigenous names and language at points of interest along U.S. Highway 395. That's over in Susanville area.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, the Norelmic also are doing that same thing, and it's caught on statewide. Our Caltrans has really become a little more sensitized to naming places what their real names are and including the translation into English language. So thank you for that, Carol. In keeping with her cultural teachings and to provide a place for Indian women after rehab treatment, Carol's one of the purification leaders, a sweat leader at UIHS since the beginning of the lodge in 2003. She enjoys making handcraft items and regalia, singing, drumming, and of course, storytelling. Over the years of our friendship, Carol and I also played softball together in the 80s and 90s. Please welcome my dear friend, Carol DeLorme Larsen.
Thank you, Donna. I don't know who that person is.
I know her.
Well, thank you. Hammu. In my language, it means hello. Hammu. Hammu. Thank you. It's an honor to be asked to present today. Although I don't consider it presenting, I consider it sharing. As you know, many tribes, we are taught to introduce ourselves. Donna began my introduction, but I will again do it traditionally the way I've been taught. My mu'a, grandma, she said, wherever we go, you never forget who you are, but you respect the people of that land. So in honor of the Wiyot people, the land in which we stand on, I say thank you. And it's a blessing that I'm allowed to share stories and sing songs because I'm not from this land. I'm from Larsen County, parts of Nevada, Pyramid Lake. I have family in Susanville, up in Modoc, Alturas, all through that area. So on my mother's side, I am Paiute and Pit River. And on my dad's side, I am from the Little Shell tribe of Chippewa. And the reason is, and many of you may have heard this or know about this is because of relocation, boarding school. My dad came from Montana, and he was placed in a boarding school in Carson City, Nevada, the Stewart Indian School. Well, Susanville's not too far from that, plus we have relatives that live in Reno. And I guess that's where my mom met my dad, and that's why I have the different bloods. I was fortunate to be raised by my grandmother. My mom died when I was 8 years old. I just turned 8. I have 2 younger brothers. And the reason I say I'm fortunate is because she went back to the Indian ways. I was raised where we didn't have store-bought meat until I was probably in the 4th grade. We lived off the land. Whenever we need medicine, my grandmother would have us go out and look for the plants. And as young kids, we really didn't know the healing properties of those plants. We just knew we had to go get them and bring them back. And she would use them on us for whatever ailments that we had. That's why I say I'm fortunate. And we learn the stories and the songs. We learn to gather. We learn to hunt. Although, I have to tell you this story. We come from, or my tribe is matriarchal. Although we respect the men, the women usually make the decisions, but it's through the men that we give the leadership to. We know that during the hunting season is a time when a young girl, I could not bother my brothers. You know how hard that was? Because I was the oldest and I was bigger than they were. And I could hit them. I could do things probably couldn't tell you here. But when it was deer season, I couldn't. I wasn't allowed to touch them, to bother them. I had to wait on them, give them their dinner. And that was because in our tradition, they were the hunters. And women, we have a lot of power. And if I were to bother them, I would take some of their power. And that's the reason why I had to respect their hunting abilities and honor that tradition. I have a great uncle, my mother's older brother. He was the storyteller of our group. He used to say, "Naishna dui," which means, let's tell a lie. You see, because every time we tell a story, we never tell it the same way twice. You tell the story to the people, or to young kids, teenagers, young adults, elders, and you tell it in the way that's meaningful for them. The other thing we learned was we never knew the lesson of that story. We had to hear it many times. So when you hear the story when you're young, it may mean something. As a teenager, it means something. As a young adult and an elder, it means something. Eventually, we learned those stories. I had to ask permission from my elders if I could share stories, because we have certain times of the season when we can tell a story. Right now it's fall and winter, so that's coyote story, Izaa. In the spring and summer, that's creation stories. But as a storyteller, there's sometimes that I need to tell the story for my audience, and it's out of season. So my elders said I could do that. They also said, "Carol," and that's one of my brothers said, "if you're going to tell the story, you better sing the song." Now, Creator gave me this voice, so sometimes I'm not always pleasant to the ears. So I apologize for that up front. You'll know. Okay, so This is one of my favorite stories, and I think it is meaningful because of what we heard today about unity, about knowing where you come from, speaking from your heart so that others can hear from yours. Okay. I like to move around, so I can do it? Okay. Isiga. You see the coyote, Isa'a? He saw the honkers all along the lake's edge. He saw them, and he'd waylay for them. He'd move up close. Well, the honkers, they saw that coyote, Isa'a, and they'd fly up, and they'd say, honka, honka, hoga, 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 hoga. And they'd fly, and they'd land in front of that coyote. Oh, he tried to sneak up on them again. Way they went, honka, honka, hoga, 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 hoga. They flew up in the air. This time, they landed a little bit closer to him. Coyote creeped up through the weeds and the reeds. He got close to them. He said, why do you say honka, honka, hoga, 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 hoga when you fly up? They looked at that coyote. What do you mean, you don't know? Coyote looked at them. All of a sudden, their wings come out, and they started flying up into the sky. There they were. All of a sudden, Coyote said, well, if they can fly, I can fly. Honka, honka, hoga, hoga, he said. And there he goes, up in the sky, with his paws and his legs flying in the sky. He was flying with them. They flew over the high desert country, the meadows, the lakes. Then all of a sudden, they caught a wind stream, and they started to glide. Coyote started to glide, but his weight was too heavy, and he came tumbling down to the Mother Earth. And there he landed, all finished up. Well, the honkers, they saw the coyote land on the ground, and they started to laugh. Hoga, 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 hoga. And then they landed right in front of that slinky old coyote. One of the honkers looked at him and said, poor coyote. Another one looked at him and said, isn't it? Now, if you were native, you would know that. And the other one said, poor coyote. He's just a coyote, and coyotes can't fly. Well, that's the end of that story. But I'm going to tell you the lesson to that story. How many of you know where you come from? Raise your hand. And those that don't, we ask you to find out. Because when you know where you come from, you have that inner strength. You have the courage. And the most important thing of all, for grandparents, mothers and fathers, share with the young. Let them know. Because when they know who they are, in situations where they need to be able to say no, they can. Especially with our situation this day with the drugs. Opioids that are going through our community and so forth. Our young kids need to know who they are. And the more they know and they feel the Mother Earth, that strength that goes up through them, that energy, well then they have that knowledge. I used to be asked, well, how did you get a last name Larsen? That's not Indian. Well, yeah. My Indian name is Pa'ahipaka, which means water carrier. It also means that I am Norwegian. And it's important that both my kids know their Indian side as well as their Norwegian side. He can go back to the 14 and the 1600s on his side. He still has family in Norway. Next year we'll be married for 50 years, and he's never been to Norway. So we're going back. He's going back. He knows that a couple of his grandparents came to Ellis Island. His grandfather Larsen, great-grandfather, was the captain of a sailing ship, and he came around the Horn and landed in San Diego, California, and that's where his grandfather jumped ship. And that's where my cousin's from, San Diego, California. So again, I share that story so you know who you are, you speak through your heart so that others can hear. So with that, all our Paiute songs are healing songs. They're prayer songs. So I understand if you put your fingers in your ear. And again, I thank the people of this land because women don't play drums here. But where I come from, we play drums. The women play drums. We can gamble, we can sing, we can dance until we die. But here, their culture, the women can't gamble. If they do gamble, it is romance. If they sing songs, it's during certain ceremonies. And it's a beautiful culture that you live in here. And they're bringing back their traditions and their songs and their ceremonies. So if you get a chance, those that are open, the public is more than welcome to it. My drums are a little tight and it's cold. Donna said that we were going to be recorded. The songs that I share, I hope that you respect them and not take them on as your own. But this is a story that you get. I was asked to be a storyteller down at the California National Storytelling event down in San Francisco, California. It was the first time that I was ever to tell stories in front of thousands of people. And I wondered, what stories could I tell? And I didn't want to get nervous when I'm up on the stage. So what I did was, I put the initial of the story and the initial of the first word of the song on my ears, right here. I knew that I could tell 8 stories in an hour. Well, one of the national storytellers told my story. This one. And then it was like, what am I going to do? Well, then that's when I learned that stories migrate. So the local stories that are here, the Hoopas and the Yurok, the Talawas and the Weoks, some of their stories are very similar. And even with the inland Indians, like my stories. And this is one of those stories that have migrated. I have heard that the people in Oklahoma keep saying this story. It has migrated all over. So this is a story you can take, you can share. Now you know Coyote, Isaiah, he loved to gamble. And you know Native people, we love to gamble. That's what we got casinos. That all started from a law that was traditional gambling. And then it migrated into the regular gambling. Well, imagine you're a dog. I would like you to close your eyes and imagine the dog that you are going to be. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Okay. Now the dogs were down by the lake, gambling. And when you gamble, you got to bring all your treasures, and you put them in a gambling pot, and you sing your song. We play a game called Bones. The idea of the game is to pick the bone that has the black mark on it. And you can play this game for a few hours to days. Well, the dogs were playing for days. They were singing their song, gambling against each other, when all of a sudden over the hill comes Coyote. He saw that they were gambling. Oh, and he knew. So he gathered everything that he owned and he put it in his sack. And there he went down into the camp. He's looking at the dogs like you guys. He goes, "Can I gamble?" They saw his big bag of treasures and they said, "Sure, come on." So Coyote, he started gambling. Well, it was Coyote's turn to sing. And Coyote began to sing his good luck song. Hey, hunda, hunda, way one day, hunda, way one day, hunda, way one day, hey, hunda, hunda, way one day. And every time Coyote sang that song, he won. They played all through the night, into the morning, up until the next evening. Well, the dogs, you guys lost everything you owned because Coyote had that magical song. Hey, hunda, hunda, way, one day. Well, Coyote didn't want to quit. Just because you dogs don't have anything else to gamble. He was quite mischievous. He was quite intelligent. So he thought, I know what you can bet. Why? You can bet your tail. So now imagine, you grab your tail and put it in the pot. Come on, grab your tail, put it in the pot. Now some of you, I know, are big dogs, and you have big furry tails, and some of you might have chopped off tails. Some of you have like a little chihuahua, a little tiny tail. But you know what? With all the dogs as they were putting their tails in there, that pile was huge. And Coyote started singing his song again. Hey, hunda, hunda, way one day, hunda, way one day, hunda, way one day, hey, hunda, hunda, way one day. And as he was singing, he noticed the dogs in the back. Now you guys wake up there. He noticed that their ears were perking up. Then he noticed the dogs over here. Their ears were perking up. And over here, and by the front row, their ears were perking up. Then he noticed all of a sudden the dogs were sniffing. And Coyote is facing the lake. You are facing the mountain. Then all of a sudden, you as a dog, you grab a tail and away you went. You ran and you ran and you ran. Well, Coyote's looking at that. Everything's gone. Why would the dogs leave in haste? Just then the Coyote, he was a little disappointed, so he took what he had and he turned. And as he turned, he saw coming down the mountain to get a drink of water was a Coyote, a mountain lion. That is where the dogs took off. Well, to this day, how do dogs greet each other? Yeah, that's right, Donna. They sniff their butts. Do you know why? Because they're trying to find their first original tail. Well, I know my time is almost up. I like to talk, and I can tell stories for a couple of hours. But this is a song that is a song that they don't know the meaning of it anymore, but it is a healing song. Oh, but I like this other one. This is a replenishing song. And I heard from your leader, your pastor,
Karen, she's a
Karen?
practitioner.
I heard her say that when you leave here, you have to think about the word united, unity. And this song is a replenishing song. So it's to replenish your heart, your mind, your spirit. So with that, I'll sing. Doa zaka dita namen wa, doa zaka dita namen wa, pava wipa wipa dumandoya tiana, pava wipa wipa dumandoya tiana, iaroya havi no namen wa, pava wipa wipa dumandoya tiana, pava wipa wipa dumandoya tiana, iaroya havi no namen wa. Pava wipa wipa dumandoya tiana, pava wipa wipa dumandoya tiana. Woo! Thank you. If I had more time, I would tell you a story that has to do with this show. But maybe I am a storyteller. We do tell stories locally, and some of your faces I recognize that have come to the events that we have put on. And I thank you. To BCP shot you. Oh.
Tell us a story. We want the story. Okay.
Okay. As you know, a long time ago, animals could talk. There was a big black bird. And this big black bird, he loved to show off. Wherever he went, he would be showing off. Well, the coyote, he didn't like the big black bird always showing off because he wanted to show off. But the big black bird, he was always doing that, getting all of the people's attention because he was the biggest, the strongest of all the people. Well, Coyote had a trick. I know how to get that big black bird. What? Hey, big black bird. I know somebody taller than you, bigger than you. Well, the big black bird, he jumped to that challenge and he goes, no, there's no one bigger than me. Oh, I said yes, There is. What? It's the bear, the grizzly bear. Well, the big black bird didn't like that, so he stood up, and he did it with the sun behind his back. So he cast a shadow so large, the people had to agree. He was the tallest and the biggest. But that didn't stop the big black bird. Remember, he said he was the strongest. Coyote said, hey, big black bird, I know someone who is stronger than you. Big black bird stood up. Who is stronger than me? Well, it was the mountain lion. Because with one paw, he pushed over a boulder that was so large, it went rolling down the hill. Now that takes strength. Well, the big black bird, he didn't like that. So he began to flop his wings. He did that where he was standing in the dirt, and it caused a little dirt devil that caused a big, huge tornado. Well, he was the strongest. But do you think Coyote was done? Mm-mm. Because there was one thing that the big black bird liked to do. That was his most favorite thing to do. That was to fly high, high, way up in the sky, higher than anybody could fly. Well, Grandfather the Sun was watching the big black bird. Coyote said, I know someone who can fly higher than you. That is the eagle. I seen him way up there. He was so far up there, you could barely even see him. That big black bird did not like that, and he began to flop his wings again, and he circled. He went higher and higher. He went so high, he came up to Grandfather's Sun. Remember, Grandfather's Sun was watching him? And it let go of the sun ray. That burnt the big black bird. As the big black bird was falling to the Mother Earth, he realized, how can I save myself? And just then, he went inside himself. And when he reached the Mother Earth and hit the ground, out came the smallest bird the people had ever seen. That's amazing. So the moral of that story, or the lesson of that story, is whenever you're showing off, we need to learn to be humble. And that is how the big black bird saved himself. He became the hummingbird. And it's a beautiful little bird that flutters around, very graceful, very beautiful. Did you guys own the bird store?
Yeah.
I'm loving this story.
Yeah. So again, that's another lesson, a story to remember. Not to show off, but to be humble, to be graceful.
Thank you so much, Carol. And before we have our music, I'll invite Donna up to go ahead and get ready. But let's just go ahead and see our affirmation, and so we can say that together as well. I know that there is only one power in, as, and through all things. Therefore, I claim my interconnectedness with all of life and rejoice in the abundant world that surrounds me. Wonderful. Donna?
Carol, again, thank you so much. We'll figure this out here. Whoever we think we are, wherever we think we're headed, whatever we're going through right now, there's a truth behind it all, about the stuff we're really made of. And the greatest truth of all is that in its image, Spirit has made us. And if that's true, just think about what it says for me and you. God is light, and so are we. God is love, and so are we. God is life, and so are we. It's truth that cannot be denied. God is power, and so are we. God is peace, and so are we. God is beauty and joy, and so are we. That's the truth of ourself and the truth of all humankind. Light cuts through the darkness of our lives. Love unites us all as one. Life is a gift we share and cherish every day. Peace is our heartfelt prayer. Joy is found most everywhere. Power is the knowledge that our precious dreams will always find their way. And beauty is in every rock and flower, every living thing, every passing hour. God is love, and so are we. God is light, and so are we. God is life, and so are we. Is truth that cannot be denied. God is power, and so are we. God is peace, and so are we. God is beauty and joy, and so are we. That's the truth of ourself and the truth of all humankind. God is light, and so are we. God is love, and so are we. God is power, and so are we. It's truth that cannot be denied. God is life, and so are we. God is peace, and so are we. God is beauty and joy, and so are we. That's the truth of ourself and the truth of all humankind.
Thank you so much, Donna, for that wonderful music. And we now come to the time in our service where we have the opportunity to share our gifts and our financial goods and offerings. And so I just invite you to take whatever is yours to give to your heart this day, whether it is a financial I can't say that word today, donation, or a blessing, or just a gift of your presence, and hold it to your heart as we repeat this affirmation together. I gratefully give from the fullness of my abundance, knowing my gift blesses the sinner, all in it and beyond. And so it is. And so we just affirm that every cent goes out to support where it is needed, blessing this community, this center, and beyond. And so it is.
And so it is.
All right. And in a moment, we're going to have somebody volunteer to come up to read the community statement of inclusion. But before we do that, I think we still have a little bit of time, maybe for 2 demonstrations. Does anybody have a demonstration? Come on up.
Absolutely. Definitely, definitely. Actually, a lot of them, but I'll just tell you one. Dave and I just came back from a trip, and we logged 6,789 miles driving from here to Massachusetts. Dave ended up in the hospital in Ely, Nevada. And anyway, because of having this trip, I had to replenish groceries. So I went to the grocery store, and I piled up with, everything. Bread, milk, anything that, was perishable, had been consumed, and so forth. I looked in my wallet, and I went, oh, crud. Okay, crud. I don't have my checkbook, because when you travel, who takes a check from out of town? I had left my checkbook at home. So I had some money from the trip, and I'm digging through my purse, and I ended up with like $144 or something like that. And I'm looking at the basket, I'm looking at the money. I went, oh no. So I explaining to the clerk, I might not have enough money, so what's the deal? He said, well, we put your cart in the cooler so things won't, like ice cream and so forth. And I said, and then you can come back. I said, okay. Well, the man in front of me said, well, how much money after he added everything up, how much money do you need? And so the clerk told him, so he pulls out his wad of money and throws a $20 bill on the counter. And he said, whoops, well, you're still a little bit short. He throws another $20 bill. He paid $40 to help me with my groceries. I knew I had to pay it forward. I had $6 left. I gave it to a man who was asking for money, whether he was going to stick it up his arm, drink it up, or maybe buy lunch. I gave it to him. I just found another $5 bill in my purse. I put it in the pot. So anyway, that has never happened to me, and as much as $40, it was just overwhelming. It actually made me cry. So before I do, thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Short, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's okay. We have time for one more. Somebody else want? Kathy, come on up.
I'm not that accustomed to public speaking, so last week I forgot one of the details in my little story about the politics and the strategies and stuff, and I forgot that the coolest thing about the story of Shelley and I talking about, well, what can we do these days to help the political situation get better? And then she went on to study where energy could be focused the most and the best. And she found out there were some races that were real close, the two sides. And if just a little bit of money for advertising could be put into one of them, that would tip it. So that's the piece I forgot to say. And Shelley figured that all out and then garnered money of people that didn't have time to do all that research themselves. And that's what she's doing, and I thought it was so cool. So I just wanted to put the ribbon on that package.
Thank you. We always like to hear of all of the amazing demonstrations of spirit in action that are happening within the community. And if you would like to have more of those in your own life, please find a practitioner after service. Take advantage of the 5-minute miracle. We like to call it a 5-minute normical because we know to work. All right. And who wants to come up to read the community statement of inclusion today? I know there's somebody out there. I have it written on a piece of paper. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We, the Eureka Center for Spiritual Living, are a community that celebrates diversity, fosters inclusion, champions inner work, and creates space for brave, vulnerable conversations. We are a community that honors the unique emanation of God that each person embodies and advocates with people for human rights and dignity for all. We are a community that blesses each other, sees sacredness in all life, remains learners and listeners so that we may grow together, and understands that oneness is not sameness. We know our beloved community is revealed more fully when we love each other well.
All right, and now if you choose, I would invite you to stand as we sing our community closing song led by Donna, and it's called We Are One. Ooh.
It's clear to me that a date full of friends for me to learn from. I am one, I am beautiful, I am one, I am joy, I am one with the universe. I am love. And the world may be a discovery of great majesty to learn from. You are one, you are beautiful, you are one, you are joy, you are one with the universe. You are love. And the universe, such a fantasy, full of mystery to learn from. We are one, we are beautiful, we are one, we are joy, we are one with the universe. We are love.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.